I'm going to preface this video by saying that I don't expect this to get a whole lot of views. My channel is very small, I don't have very many subscribers, but I make these videos because A, I enjoy them, and B, as someone who has been part of this flighting program, I feel am obligated to at least share some of my thoughts with a product that's being released to us beforehand, before anything else, that 343 has given us the opportunity to test out and show off all the good things and the bad things. So that's the mentality I'm going with here, is to try to give my opinion, the little guy's opinion, of what we're going to be getting in this game, how I feel about it, and any problems I might have with it, so that maybe, just maybe, my voice can be heard and be taken into account when this pack actually goes live. So this is map footage from Season 6 of the Master Chief Collection that's being released to us that includes two of the maps from Halo Online, Waterfall and Edge. The footage you're seeing here is of Edge. And what's interesting is, while this was part of Halo Online, and I remember this being part of El Dorado as well, I actually played on this a couple times, the other map wasn't actually part of it. And I don't think it was ever part of Halo Online, Waterfall. And I'll get to that a little bit later, but right now this video is going to be focusing on what I thought of this map and the other map. I'll get to cosmetics after the fact in another video entirely. So, Edge is a map that I think I really enjoy for its aesthetics as well as its simplicity. Edge is remarkably simple when you boil it down underneath the veneer of the complex Forerunner art that we have grown to know, for better or for worse, with 343 Halo. It's essentially a simple 3-lane map, very symmetrical and heavily distinct depending on what side you're on. And you can see this mostly just even from a simple glance here. You can see that there are two different spawn locations on either side of the map where the red team and the blue team go. There is a central location that houses a power-up, and on either side of the spawning locations, to your left or to your right, there are little combat nexuses that house power weapons. On one side you have the sniper rifle, and the other you have the rocket launcher. And the way this map is designed is that you are going to be funneled either to the left or to the right. There is really no way about it. That the players themselves are going to be forced to get into some degree of conflict over these power weapons and over map control and over the power-up as well. The first team that manages to secure that the B section will basically dictate the terms for the rest of the map. And I found in a lot of the times that I've been involved in combat here, I find myself trying to push that center to pick up the overshield. Edge sort of calls back, I think, to more elementary design of maps and map control and arena shooters. It's very Unreal Tournament-ish, I feel is the word that's on the tip of my tongue. I could be completely wrong, though, but that's the impression that I get here, not give. I'm giving my opinion, but this is the opinion I'm getting as well, is that it plays very arcadey, it plays very fast, relatively speaking. It is a big map, though, and this, I think, was definitely a big hallmark of Halo Online, in that this map was designed for sprint, essentially. And that explains why it was so big, and why it doesn't necessarily feel the most comfortable when you try to shrink it down to the way that Halo 3 plays without the sprint. So that's why maybe it seems that it's just a tad too big. If like the movement speed were just a bit higher, or if the sprint was in it like it was originally supposed to be, it probably would make a lot more sense here. However, I feel that with a slightly bigger lobby and all that, if maybe we want to experiment with 5v5 or something like that, this map I think could actually be quite interesting. There's good degrees of cover all over the map, mostly with the Forerunner outcroppings on the inside or the outside. And it's really not that easy to get lost. There's either a gigantic and rather beautiful panorama here that contrasts the violence that's occurring inside this Forerunner structure, the natural beauty of how Forerunner architecture is supposed to interact with the environment, as well as on the inside you have the more ominous designs, the very dark, the full of mystery sense of what's back there. Are those server farms? Are those durances, like Forerunner durances? I don't really know, and that's the best thing about Forerunners, is you're not necessarily supposed to know about what you're looking at. And this seems to be a neat place to have a firefight, even if you don't necessarily agree with the aesthetics. Sometimes you just don't care when you're actually going and playing these things. And generally speaking, it's easy to predict enemy movement, but there's enough little spackling all over the place where it introduces a degree of uncertainty. You generally have an idea about where your enemies are supposed to go, but you don't necessarily know unless you have good communication or good flow control, where you can essentially manipulate the enemy into doing what you want them to do. I didn't really find very many exploits in this map at all, and that's pretty good. But I think the next map that I'm going to be covering has one or two issues with the way that, well, maybe it's slightly unfinished, but that is to be expected since Waterfall was not actually included in the release of Halo Online. But with Edge, I'd say based on my experience here, compared to the experience I had with Halo Online, it's not bad. I don't hate the Forerunner aesthetic of the 343 era. I think this is perfectly fine here. But I do think the map is just a wee bit big for what it is. And that's the only real shortcoming I can really think of for this one. Now, Waterfall is slightly different. This is really the first time anybody's actually seeing this map, so it looks like a lot of impressions are going to be very fresh, with a bit of, I want to say, diverse opinions. Because, like I said, nobody's seen this map before, nobody's played this map before. It's really just emerged from the depths of development hell, so every opinion is going to be somewhat valid and somewhat interesting to listen to. So, I mentioned before that Edge was deceptively simple in that it played essentially just as a simple 3-lane map that you saw in a lot of traditional games like Unreal Tournament or even classic Call of Duty around maybe Call of Duty 4 and stuff like that, that even persists to this day as a symmetrical map. Waterfall goes in the other direction in my opinion. I feel that, like I said, whereas Edge was deceptively simple, I think that Waterfall is deceptively complex. When you look at the map from above, it generally tends to look like a delta shape. I know it's represented as something like an L on the loading screen, but when you actually look at it, it's like a letter V in a way, where both teams spawn at either end of the V, and they meet at the combat nexus at the middle of the map. It's in this middle area that a lot of the power weapons are located, and it's a very, very bloody map to play on if you're not careful with that sort of thing. Now, as I said before, you do spawn at the on either end, but there are easy ways to traverse around the map. You're given access to a man cannon right off the bat that you can take that'll bring you to sniper spawn at the very bottom of the delta. Or you can take some pathways around your spawn point where you come to this location, this broadcast center, this map center, this communications center, where you can fight over the control of the lift as well as the rocket launcher that spawns in here. So it's far easier to get in combat, but what the map doesn't show you right off the bat is that there are very, very many ways to actually get around here. Yes, you could take the hallways, but yes, you could also crouch jump on top of a platform that'll give you easy access to this center. You could drop down a conveniently located chute that'll take you to the bottom area of this map, and in this bottom area you'll have access to a shield drain as well as the lift where you can potentially do a surprise attack. You could take the man cannons over the sniper spawn, or if you're being chased close to your spawn point, there is an opportunity for you to double back on your attacker and take them by surprise, or you could drop down quickly to the area where the shield drain is. Or you could drop down to a conveniently located platform close to where the man cannon drops you off. I mean, the possibilities are endless if you know how to use trick jumping to your advantage. And I was really impressed with this map here. What I tend to do is, if there's a map I haven't played before in a Halo game, or a map I'm quite interested in playing, what I'll do is, and I'm sure that many people will do this as well, is that they boot up the custom games or even Forge and take a look around to sort of get their bearings in the map to see where everything is. I watched a couple of channels that said that one of the things they were worried about is that people could get lost in this map, or people could get confused, and I understand where they're coming from with that, but in my opinion, if you take the time to sort of understand what the area looks like, if you actually go through it, do a dry run, take a buddy and do like a mock battle, or just spend some time going over every nook and cranny, practicing your trick jumps and stuff like that, I think that it would be very, very good for you to, in terms of getting your bearings, learning how everything works. And I'm still learning things about this map that is really impressive. Like, in playing a round of Splockets here, I was able to figure out that the boxes that you can use to get up to the rocket spawn are actually not fixed objects. They are physical objects in the world that can be moved, which means that really ingenious uses of force, like with the rocket launcher, you might burn some rockets, but you could change the flow of the map by knocking them out of the way and denying access to this area up here where the lift is. I'm just so impressed with this map, with its sheer complexity that is wrapped up in a seemingly simple setup. I like this map. I like the setting. I think it's very cool. Even though it was designed for Halo Online, it still has plenty of aspects of classic Bungie era designs as well, and I think it's a good compromise with how things look here. I think I'm going to enjoy playing on this map, although if you are going up against a really skilled group of people, that could be a bit of a problem. There's only one problem I have with this map, and that comes down to a weird area that you can grenade jump up to, which is inside of the ice caves. If you can grenade jump up there, you can essentially have access to an area that nobody else can get up to, where you can fire down on people and basically ruin their day. But that's not the worst bit, is that in the same area, if you do a second grenade jump, you can propel yourself up above the level geometry, where you can actually see like the unfinished areas where you can see through the map. This is a problem because if you can actually get up there with a buddy or with another grenade jump, not only can you fire down on these guys, you can see these guys, but you have a good control of the map that nobody can get back to you. Or if you're being attacked, you can scarper back and basically block yourself off. They can't get you, and you can essentially burn the clock if you play your cards correctly. That is something that definitely needs to be fixed when this map comes out. There are invisible walls all around this map in other areas except for that inside of the ice caves. It's a very easy fix. You can very easily put an invisible wall down there. The way I'm seeing it, I'm not entirely sure if I'm upset about the fact that you can grenade jump up to those areas, because I've tried it multiple times on there. I can consistently get up to that first lip, but in addition to that, there's a way to get up to the second one as well for the exterior level. Because it's mirrored, it naturally has the same things on either side. So I tried doing the same thing on the exterior as well, and it took a little bit more time, it took a little bit more effort, but I found that I was still able to get up to that area where it could be a potential firing line. I can't get up on top of the geometry, so that's not a problem on the outside, but on the inside, yeah. That is my major complaint about the map, is that there is the one way to break it. So those are the thoughts I have of the maps right now. It's very, very good. I wanted to test it in terms of Slayer, as well as doing things like Fiesta or doing Objective. But in the time that I've been there so far, I haven't had any luck in finding either a Rumble Pit match or an Objective match. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but for the most part, it's mostly just been giving me Team Slayer. And as time goes on, as the flight goes on, naturally they're going to be mixing things up as well. So I think that I'll be able to get a little bit of everything as it goes on. So that's the video here on the maps. And hopefully I'm going to get some time to actually talk a little bit about the customization as well, because I have quite a few things to say about that as well. And I'm going to be awfully candid about it. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to lose my mind like a lot of other people are on certain things, good or ill, I might add. And I can't wait to see what's coming up next. I can't wait to see how this is going to develop. So, thank you for watching.